Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Me? I'll be honest, I'm feeling pretty tired today. I didn't sleep particularly well last night. So at 4:30 this morning, I was wide awake. So if you do catch me yawning at any point, it's not you, it's me. Just to let you know that also my latest weekly column is also now available. It's called The Mark Noble Way, for reasons that will become clear. And it's on the subject of mentoring, which is something we've touched on quite a bit here on the show before. You can read it using the link that should be at the top of the chat right about now. All that being said, rather, it's going to be a busy day today. First up, we have a show that is packed to the very rafters, and then when this show is over, I'm scheduled to interview the head honcho over at the Lighthouse Club. There really is no rest for the wicked. Now, just to let you know, today's question of the day reflects the fact that today is Mesothelioma Awareness Day. We're talking more about that in just a moment. So, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. It is Monday, the 26th of September, and as that remarkably persistent guy just said, welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, on Mesothelioma Awareness Day, we ask, has the government and our industry done enough to prevent the thousands of deaths caused by asbestos-related diseases? We're taking the wraps off a new 10-tonner from Wacker Neuson. We're in Kentucky as a flood cleanup operation switches into top gear. Komatsu will be showing off a massive dump truck at Bauma, and we can show you what it looks like. Plus, anyone for morning wood? Don't answer that. We'll get to all of that in just a second. But first, let's see who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days. Happy birthday! And it's many happy returns to St. Francis of Assisi. He watches this show regularly. It's also happy birthday to poet T.S. Eliot. Happy birthday also to composer George Gershwin, actor Ricky Tomlinson, TV host Anne Robinson, and to the recently departed Olivia Newton-John. To Sarah Connor from the Terminator films, actress Linda Hamilton, singer Tracy Thorn, and to the newly retired tennis superstar Serena Williams. But far more importantly, today marks the birthday of quite easily the smoothest man in rock and roll, Roxy music frontman, Mr. Brian Ferry. Many happy returns to them, one and all. Every year, the Health and Safety Executive releases its fatal accident statistics. Over the past decade or so, the combined demolition and construction sector has claimed the lives of between 30 and 40 people each year, almost without fail. When those figures are released, the industry shakes its head while people like me rant on about it for days. Later today, I'm scheduled to interview Bill Hill, main man at the Lighthouse Club, which has taken action in response to the rise in suicides among construction workers. It's claimed that more than 400 male construction workers are taking their own lives each year. That has prompted multiple campaigns and initiatives, and has introduced the term mental health awareness into the construction sector's vocabulary. Meanwhile, mesothelioma, an asbestos-related illness, is killing upwards of 2,000 people each year. Factor in other asbestos-related diseases and cancers, and that figure is closer to 5,000 per year. According to a new study, it's believed that around 32% of construction workers are exposed to asbestos every single week. 79% of those surveys say they've come across asbestos during their working lives, while 45% say they have suffered an asbestos-related disease or know a colleague who has. Most tragically of all, 1 in 20 of those surveyed say they know someone that has died of such a condition. Now, as I've already mentioned, today marks Mesothelioma Awareness Day. Or should we need a single day to raise awareness of a condition that's killing people at a rate of almost 50 per week? It's almost as if the industry and government have just accepted the fact that people will continue to die until every last trace of asbestos is removed from our national building stock. The HSE runs campaigns to illustrate the dangers of slips and trips and working at height. Trade associations and individual companies appoint mental health awareness specialists to spot the early signs of mental health issues and potential suicide. Yet asbestos continues to kill at a rate that is 10 times higher than both of those issues combined. Now, as I mentioned, today marks Mesothelioma Awareness Day, and a good many people will be sporting blue ribbons today to show their support. And one of the key aims of this day is to raise awareness in order to help find a cure for a disease that's been killing working men and women in their thousands for decades. And I can't help wondering if the term working men and women is telling in all of this. On our Saturday social show this past weekend, we talked at some length about the Didcot disaster and the fact that the ensuing and ongoing investigation has taken almost 7 years. It was suggested that this was because working men and women are seen as somehow expendable. Would the Didcot investigation still be ongoing if the 4 men killed had been doctors, lawyers, or bankers? My personal guess is probably not. Would we still be searching for a cure for mesothelioma and other asbestos-related diseases if those diseases affected only middle and upper class people? I'll leave you to decide. And while you're thinking about that, think about this too. As an industry, we have asbestos awareness training, and yet tens of thousands of working people have been killed by asbestos over the years. Now ask yourself this: how much faith do you have in mental health awareness? As always, your thoughts are welcome. Just use the chat. Let us have your thoughts. Love to hear what you have to say. With Bauma 2022 now just around the corner, equipment manufacturers are ramping up their machine introduction programs. One of the most prolific of all of those, of late certainly, has been Wacker Neuson, and it appears the company is not quite done yet.
The EW100 is our solution to the digital future of construction sites. It's future-proof with all digital systems, and it's easy to operate. Attachments can be changed quickly and with the right power adjustments as well. Everything is plug and play. We're taking safety to a new level with an auto brake, signal colorize, and active warning system. The field of vision is very important to us, so we've optimized the field of vision to the front, and special importance on 3 points: stability, stability, stability. For hydraulic tools, we've got 45 kilowatts of hydraulic power into the auxiliary hydraulics. That's what's represented in the EW100, resulting in better efficiency and better performance.
Now, my son is actually planning to spend some time with Wacker Neuson at Bauma, so watch this space for more from them and certainly about that new machine.
The Miller GT series heralds a new era of unrivaled power and cutting-edge intelligent coupler technology, increasing job site safety, machine versatility, and productivity. It's the added versatility that you need at the value you can afford. To find out more, visit millergroundbreaking.com.
Now, speaking of Bauma, there is always an unspoken battle among the major manufacturers to see which of them will be showing off the largest and most impressive machines. Well, Komatsu has certainly thrown its hat into the ring by announcing that it will have an H785-8 rigid dump truck on display. And as you're about to see, it's a beast.
Welcome to the machine familiarization video for the HD785-8 rigid frame haul truck. This video will review key features located throughout the machine. The goal is to familiarize you with the use, operation, and maintenance of the components and systems for safe and effective operation. Starting at the rear of the machine, if we look up we see two cameras. The top camera being used for the reverse rear view camera, and the bottom camera is utilized by the ComVision system. For easier maintenance, remote central grease fittings can be located on top of the differential housing. An addition of an inspection plate has been added to allow maintenance personnel a visual inspection of the differential ring gear. Moving to the left side of the truck, between the front and rear tires, are a few items to be mentioned. Here is where we find the transmission oil sight gauge and fill neck. You will also find the visual sight gauge and the fill neck for the hydraulic tank. A new feature on the HD785-8 is the ground level service center, which includes a quick fill adapter for the engine oil, transmission and brake cooling oil, brake control oil, and the steering and hoist hydraulic oil. Continuing forward to the engine bay, we can see that the HD785-8 now incorporates panels for complete enclosure of the engine. A latched panel has been added for easy access to the KCCV filters and the engine oil fill neck and dipstick. Under the engine access panel is another enclosure that houses one of the high-efficiency fuel filters and fuel pre-filter with water separator. Looking behind the fuel filter enclosure, another remote central grease fitting junction can be viewed. Looking to the top of the engine bay, we find the on-off toggle switch for the electric fuel priming pumps. Under the frame rail, there is an enclosure that houses the coolant quick fill adapter. Under the cab in front of the tire, notice the two cameras used by the ComVision system. Another enclosure we come across is the data collection and battery disconnect box. Inside this box, we see the data collection ports, the machine immobilization switch, which will lock out all hydraulic functions. Other switches in this box are the battery disconnect switch, the starter lockout switch, and a toggle switch to operate the engine bay service light. Lastly is the auxiliary engine starting connector. Outside of the data collection and battery disconnect box are two switches. The first is the ground level emergency shutdown switch, which will shut the machine down in case of an emergency. This next switch is the staircase light toggle switch, which will illuminate the staircase in low light conditions. Looking directly at the front of the truck, you can see the easy access boarding ladder, as well as multiple emergency egress points. The headlight cluster, which includes the fog light, low beam, high beam, turn signal, and clearance lamps, can also be seen from this view. There is also a ComVision camera mounted to the front of the boarding access. Two-wheel chock holders can also be found at the front of the machine. Moving into the right side engine bay is similar to the left side, with the engine completely closed off. The latched access panel on this side will lead to the engine oil filters. The other high-efficiency fuel filter and pre-filter are mounted in the same fashion as the left side, in an enclosure mounted to the frame. The brake circuit supply filter is also mounted to the frame, as well as the optional oil pan heater connection point. The front right corner also houses two ComVision cameras as well. When looking at the center section of the right-hand side of the truck, we mainly see the fuel tank with a Wiggins quick fill, as well as a standard fill neck and a visual sight gauge. Mounted behind the fuel tank, we will find a tool storage box that is sealed from the environment. In the front of the fuel tank is the brake tank with a visual sight gauge and fill neck, which are both under covers. Now that we have been around the truck on the ground level, let's head up onto the deck. Once on top of the deck, the first thing we encounter is the battery box. The battery box is where the machine batteries are held, along with several circuit breakers and relays. Just behind the battery box is the coolant reservoir with visual sight gauge. Moving to the center of the deck is a panel that can be lifted to gain access to the top of the engine where the twin KDPFs are mounted. To the rear and above the engine access panel is where the twin dual element air filters are mounted with their vacuum restriction gauges. Last on the deck is the cab access. The cab can be entered from the left side for the operator and the right side for the passenger. We will discuss the cab in more detail in another video in this series. This concludes the machine familiarization video for the HD785-8 rigid frame haul truck. For more information, please refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual or contact your local distributor. You may also visit us at www.komatsuamerica.com. Thank you for choosing Komatsu products.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that that one will almost certainly feature in our post-Bauma roundup. Now, just looking at the chat, we have who I believe to be a newcomer in our midst, Kathy Anderson. Not sure where Kathy is watching from, but as everybody around these parts knows, you turn up on the show for the first time, you get some welcome confetti. Morning, Kathy. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Let us know where you're watching from and perhaps more importantly, how you actually found the show. Now, back to that show. I need to press a button and I'm going to select that one. Cast your mind back to July this year and the terrible floods that gripped the great state of Kentucky. 39 people lost their lives in the floods and more than 100 bridges were damaged as the area was hit by the heaviest rainfall recorded since 1915. Well, now the cleanup operation is in full swing, and right at the heart of that operation is a Cenoboken excavator. Yeah, I know that film was about the Cenoboken, but those pre-North track carriers really take some stopping too, don't they? Just going to hark back quickly to the Komatsu dump truck. Dan Cullen has just said that some truck, that Komatsu, and great access points too. Yeah, considering the size of that machine, very easy to maintain, no question about it. Gary Muirhead has actually asked a question. I wonder if the Komatsu dump truck is manufactured in America. For once, I don't need to defer to Nick Drew, who knows about these things. I can tell you, yes, they are. They're actually manufactured in Peoria, traditional home of Caterpillar, oddly enough. If anybody knows any more about that, then love to hear from you. And Mick Saunders has just arrived as well. So thank you very much for being here, Mick. Now, on with the show. This is now becoming a regular thing, and I have to say I'm delighted about it, mainly because it means I have less work to do. You might recall that about a week ago, our regular viewer, Peter Ferguson, very kindly sent us some footage that he'd shot at a Vintage Excavator Trust event. Well, not to be outdone, our resident expert on all things crane-related, Tristan Mays, has taken his drone for a spin and has captured some absolutely stunning footage of logs being unloaded from the hold of a ship. Take a look at this. would anyone? All joking aside, many thanks to Tristan Mays for sharing that. If you'd like to see more of Tristan's work, then certainly if you're into cranes, head on over to cranehub.net. You can find a link to that in the chat. All of that just leaves me to give you a very quick heads up. There will be no show on Friday this week, as that's the day of my dad's funeral. However, between now and then, we have another 3 of these shows to bring you, together with the interview with the head of the Lighthouse Club, Bill Hill, which I'll be recording later today. I'm also hoping that we can squeeze in our regular monthly update with Neil Edwards at the Builders Conference too, so watch this space. I may be missing for a day, but the quantity and quality should not be impacted, but just wanted to let you know what was going on this week.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
Right, that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues. Have a great day and thanks for watching. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'll see you on the other side of this.